right, this is our golden swirl piece, and we're going to make this one. And we're going to use red and gold and turquoise in it. And if you have the turquoise, you can use that. You can also use robin egg, or you can make your own turquoise with blue, green, and white, 50-50. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to heat up our gourd piece, or a round circle piece. And I'm working on a 2-inch one. Actually, I believe this is 2.5, excuse me. But you could do 2-inch on this one, it's fine. We're going to get that nice and warm. And the reason we're doing that is so that the wax goes on nice and even. And I've already had my stipple brush warming up in my wax, and we're just going to apply it across the gourd piece. And this gives us a nice even layer of our color, and it's not too thick, and we don't have to go back and heat it to get it all nice and even. We've already done that. And now this piece, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of keep it warmer while we put our color into it. So I'm actually going to move this up just a tad, my little hook here, and I'm going to warm it, and I'm going to use my number 2 tool, the small end, and I'm going to apply gold and the turquoise swirls while we are warming it. This allows it just to kind of absorb into the wax. And I've got both of my tools, and it's easier when you have a couple of tools instead of stopping and wiping them off and starting again. So in this process, it is less time assuming to have those ready. So we're going to start by warming this up again first. Get this all nice and melted, and you can tell that by the change of the color. It looks liquidy instead of dull. And we're going to start, and we're going to just bring in some swirls. And actually, I'm going to switch to a smaller tool here because my swirls are kind of big, and I want them a little bit smaller. And there is no right or wrong on this. And I'm bringing up my gun higher. In fact, I'm going to turn it off for just a minute and try and work here, because that is nice and warm, and the more you do it, the more it's going to start to get away from you or spread out. And now it's starting to cool off again, so I'm going to have to warm it up just a tad again, and we'll get some turquoise in here as well. And I just want to bring some turquoise swirls in here. Now remember, there is no right or wrong on this. It's just how you interpretate it. And I'm going to not heat it up, and I'm going to put these back into the top here just for a second. And then we'll warm it up one more time just to distribute it kind of evenly. And we're just trying to even out the wax, have it all melted to the same degree. These two right here I'm working on. Play with it, because you can get them a little bit more swirled. However, and don't be afraid to go back, and if you do not like it, try it again. You've heard me say that in these, and I've done these several times before I got them where I wanted them. So don't feel bad if you don't have them quite where you want them yet. And what I'm going to do up here now is I'm going to get that wet, and we're going to put some gold tinsel glitter in it. And I'm going to warm that up just a tad to set that. Now practice with that, and after doing that I would probably go back and use either 1 or 0, putting my strokes into them to get them a little bit smaller, because when it's wet your strokes just grow. But play with it, and just have fun with it. There's a lot of really neat effects that you can get. And we're going to let this cool because we don't want to do it while it's warm, and then we're going to come back and we're going to varnish it. Alright, now that our gourd piece has dried, we're going to come in with our hobby knife and remove all the wax on the sides. We want to make sure that we have those nice and clean and none of the wax on the side. This is real important for your suede piece to go onto. We want to make sure that we get it all covered so that it stays in, does not melt when we start to well, not melt, but melting in the sun. We want to make sure that we get it all covered. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our knife and we're going to go around it on the edges in just a tad so that we can get a nice seal on this, on our piece. Get all the wax off of it, and if you sometimes use material on it, helps catch all that wax. And we're going to take our Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, and the Dimensional Magic is made to go on thick, so we want to make sure that we have it thick. Now unfortunately, due to our shape of our gourd not being real flat, and it falls over the edge, so we don't want to put it on in one solid thing. So we're going to start by going around almost to the edges. We're going to put that on first, and we're going to use our brush, and it is water based so we can get it out. Now if you see my brush, I'm just barely coming over the edge, just a tad. You don't want it coming down the sides, but you want to completely cover the crayon or the wax. So that's really, really important. Now we're going to come back in and we're going to put some of this on, and less is better when working it. We're just going to lightly kind of spread that out with our brush. If you notice, if there's areas that are kind of thick, walk it back in, and you will notice that it kind of settles down and you get a smooth look. If you can see your brush strokes on it, you do not have it thick enough. So we want to make sure that we have it thick enough. And we want at least 3 to 5 coats on your piece. And if you're going to have a piece that's going to be wore in the sun, make sure that you check it. And I don't suggest you just sitting it straight out in the sun, because a piece you wear doesn't just get set. You're always wearing it. But make sure that you have that nice and sealed, and test it with the heat. Okay, come on back and we're going to get started on our putting on our necklace.